both of our teams are competing for playoff spots. Like, that's our main focus. That's a selfish thing to just care about an individual award, and she would give you the same exact answer.
And one thing Caitlin Clark does maybe better than anybody in sports right now, makes it about others, makes it about team. Think about it.
She also has to sit there like she can't hear us talking about her, which is handling wonderfully. Caitlin, proud of you on all fronts, but proud of you for handling this.
Chicago Sky's coach, Teresa Weatherspoon, found herself completely outmatched by Caitlin Clark's brilliance today. It's unclear if her strategy was to neutralize Clark.
You saw in the second half of the season, in the second half of this game, the team that was more together. The team that was more together was clearly the Indiana Fever, and the Indiana Fever routed the Chicago Sky.
Now let's discuss the key issue. This is something that needs to be addressed. Teresa Weatherspoon, prior to the game, had this to say.
When you talk about watching a team grow and you talk about gaining that chemistry that you want for any of your teams to have, and when you've had an opportunity to play them and then have an opportunity to watch them play, you see that they're really gelling well together, playing extremely well together. And Caitlin is the head of that snake, and she has that team running and utilizing every bit of everybody's gift. So they're playing extremely good basketball. So it is about a 40 minutes of total focus and execution for us against this team.
What about Caitlin Clark? Watching the team evolve, you notice they're developing the chemistry any team would want. Having played against them and then watching them play, it's clear they're really coming together.
What does together mean? Man, oh man, when Caitlin Clark does something, everybody celebrates. When Caitlin Clark does something, there is no jealousy. Early in the year, I felt like we saw a lot of jealousy. I felt like we saw a lot of people kind of side-eyeing. The great Joby Wright, great player at Indiana, assistant coach Indiana basketball, used to call it under-eyeing. I'm under-eyeing you. I felt there was a lot of that going on with Caitlin Clark, but really since the end of the first half of the season, you don't see it anymore.
Playing excellent basketball. Caitlin is the driving force behind that, making sure everyone's talents are fully utilized, so they're playing exceptionally well. It's going to require 40 minutes of intense focus and flawless execution from us to compete with them. So, she clearly acknowledged before the game that Clark was the central figure, the driving force.
And one thing Caitlin Clark does maybe better than anybody in sports right now, makes it about others, makes it about team. Think about it. When's the last time you didn't see Caitlin Clark talking about a teammate? When's the last time you saw Caitlin Clark talking about herself or any of the accomplishments that she has had? Let me give you the answer to that. Never! Never! You never hear that. Now, that's why their team has gotten good. She could have been an egomaniac. Everybody in the league knows that she is the league right now. Are you kidding me?
And it's clear that while Kelsey Mitchell might consider herself the top player on this team, Caitlin Clark is the one leading them. Right now, there's only one point guard like her in the WNBA, number 22 from Iowa, playing in Indiana.
Now let's go to the Chicago Sky. Chicago Sky are falling off the map in the second half of the season. Why? Well, they got a star, right? Everybody tells me Angel Reese is an absolute star. Look at all the double-doubles. Oh, my God. Well, Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky have made it about Angel Reese, not about the Chicago Sky. Even last night, if you look at it, what they have? Barbie night. We're giving out towels, blah, 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 blah. And when you see Angel Reese, what does she do? She's walking in with look at me outfits. It's about me. When you see Caitlin Clark, what do you see? It's about we.
As we've seen before, Teresa Weatherspoon's strategy seemed to involve keeping Angel Reese in the game to secure a double-double. There were multiple efforts to disrupt Caitlin Clark, not to injure her, but certainly to throw her off her game. Yet Teresa had no effective solution. I'm curious about what she mentioned during the press conference, as the Chicago Sky held theirs after the game. It usually takes about 12 to 13 minutes for the Sky to start their press conference, with Weatherspoon arriving near the end. I'm always interested in the question she has to answer.
How are you going to use this as a measuring stick to assess whether or not maybe some changes need to happen?
Dominating the paint is crucial, especially when they control the paint. However, it's tough to dominate when you're shooting 30%. For instance, Cardoso couldn't find any success. What are they missing? This marks their 5th consecutive loss, this time by 19 points after the previous 4 losses were by no more than 4 points.
I think me and Angel would both give you the same answer. Like, you don't wake up and think about individual awards. I know that's what all of you think we do. I know we don't. Like, that's what everybody wants to make this about, but like, we both of our teams are competing for playoff spots. Like, that's our main focus. That's a selfish thing to just care about an individual award, and she would give you the same exact answer. I'm sure she has given you the same exact answer. So
What's missing from this team? There are several issues that need addressing, beginning with defense. They identify as a defensive team, but I'll say it, they no longer play defense. I'm making it clear. This team no longer defends. They claim to be defensive-minded, yet they got rid of their weakest defender, Marina Mabrey, and still don't defend.
Well, it was so great because that's what you see online, right? Is Angel Reese only rebounds like this, especially on the offensive end, because she gets so many of her own misses. So I was like, well, I wonder how many of her own misses she actually gets. And what the Sports and Information Group came back with is the number, I think it was like 55 of her offensive rebounds at the time were off of her own misses. Well, if you do a little bit of math, you realize she would still be leading the league in offensive rebounds per game if you took away all of her own misses. And that's not if you also took away other people's misses. Of course, every player, especially big players, get some of their offensive rebounds off of their own misses. So if you just take hers away and let everybody else keep theirs, she still leads the league in offensive rebounds per game.
Look, I've said before that if everything clicks, Angel Reese has superstar potential. She was absolutely deserving of being an all-star this year. All-rookie first team, all-defensive second team, but she doesn't defend anymore. This isn't just criticism of Angel Reese. I've stated before that when she wants to, she's the best defensive player in her position on the perimeter, but she's stopped playing defense since the focus on double-doubles began.
So as a post player, is her efficiency a little bit lower, especially around the room, than you would like it to be? Is that an area of growth for Angel Reese in the future? Absolutely it is. But you cannot use that as a metric to criticize what she's doing in a historic way on the glass on both ends of the floor.
Angel Reese has neglected defense, and that's on her. The opponents are driving to the basket, so it's about defending against that, staying in control, and avoiding fouls.
Angel Reese is paid to play in the paint. That is her position. That is where you made a Hall of Fame career, is to be efficient in the paint. And when she is ranked 49th out of 54 eligible WNBA players as far as field goal efficiency, there's not another forward/center that's lower than 30 in the WNBA. So what I said is I took that offensive rebound nugget, and what I did is I spun it forward to say we wouldn't have to have the conversation about offensive rebounds and if it's her teammates or if it's her offensive rebounds, if she was just more efficient down low when she had the opportunities. And that's where I said, in my estimation, Caitlin Clark is running away with Rookie of the Year because Angel Reese, yes, the numbers are inflated in a sense because she is not efficient where she has to be, which is down low where she's making her money.
You've emphasized striking first, but once the opponent goes on a run, adjustments are crucial. As a coach, it's on me to make those adjustments. This was the first time all season your team allowed 100 points in a game. What makes the Fever so difficult to defend? Well, as our player mentioned, if this doesn't sting, nothing will. But the coach didn't even provide an answer. She completely avoided the question. Literally no response when it came to dealing with this superstar point guard and her equally talented shooting guard, Kelsey Mitchell.
Game series, I think they could. If they ended up matching up with Minnesota, do I think they could beat them the way Minnesota's playing? I don't. But depending on the matchups, I don't think it's ridiculous to think that Indiana Fever this year could make it to the semifinals because, of course, the WNBA, if you win your first round series, that's where you are in the semifinals. If we were having this conversation when they were 2-8 or 2-9 or however they started the season, it would have been a ridiculous thing to think. It no longer is because of the way they're playing.
By the way, there's some speculation about whether a max contract will be enough to keep Kelsey Mitchell. If they offer her the max, she's essentially locked in, similar to restricted free agency. They lack core players to use the core designation on Kelsey Mitchell, so as long as they're prepared to give her the max, she can't leave. There were literally no answers, no response at all. When asked about defending the Fever, she simply said, if this doesn't sting, nothing will, choosing not to address the question directly. When I've titled videos like Ex-Coach Has No Answer, especially about Nate Tibbetts, it's because I genuinely feel Tibbetts sometimes relies on junk zones and struggles to find solutions for certain teams. He's the kind of coach who, when asked about their struggles, will provide a detailed breakdown of how his team was outplayed during a press conference. But Teresa W. didn't even try to answer. She shifted the topic entirely after conceding 100 points. I have to point out that the Fever are incredibly difficult to stop. The only team I've seen successfully contain them is the Lynx.
Angel Reese is coming off. Hey, look, won the national championship 1 year, got to the Final Four. The next, really successful career, but like most that come in the WNBA, nobody cared. So Angel Reese is coming in, and she's swimming upstream two ways. One, her team's not very good. Two, she's second fiddle to a little white girl over here, Caitlin Clark. And that pisses her off. That pisses the whole thing off.
Even though the Lynx suffered a heavy loss today, teams win and lose games. The Sun might be the only other team that can challenge the Fever. Remember, the Sun managed to limit them to just over 30 points in a half. Although the Fever ended up scoring around 84 points, they had 51 by halftime and 33 in the first quarter.
The league could not be in a more exciting place than it is right now.
Certainly the attention on women's basketball right now is at an all-time high, and this league has been poised and ready for at least the last 2 decades for this moment. We have the star power, we have the elite play on the floor, but it's been a bit of a hidden gem. Well, it's not going to be hidden much longer, and a lot of that is because of this draft class and Caitlin Clark.
The Sun and the Lynx have shown they can halt the Fever. I'm not sure if the Liberty can do it. Maybe with Betnijah Laney's return, they could, but it remains to be seen. Numerous coaches have attempted to stop this team, but the key to their success is Caitlin Clark. Teresa Weatherspoon hit the nail on the head when she called Clark the head of the snake. Clark orchestrates the offense and maximizes every player's strengths. Teresa Weatherspoon, one of the top point guards in WNBA history, knows what makes a great point guard, and Clark exemplifies that. But it's not just Clark. The shift in Kelsey Mitchell's mindset has been crucial. Once Mitchell transitioned from focusing on perimeter isolation to moving off the ball and finding space for Clark to assist, she became the league's most formidable shooting guard. Coupled with the league's top point guard and the best passing center, this combination is exceptionally powerful. This team's probably not going to win a championship if they face the Sun in the playoffs. Maybe there is a non-zero chance that they get the 5th seed. If they get the 5th seed, I'm not betting against this team making the finals. But I feel like the Lynx, the way the Lynx play, the personnel they have, is just too much for the Fever. But they are 1 year away, even with no changes. I think going into next season, you're obviously keeping Kelsey Mitchell. They should be one of the top 3 favorite teams. And 2 of your 3 best players are 22 years old. And you saw that with Teresa Weatherspoon, the head of the snake. The only tactic she had to stop Caitlin Clark and stop the Indiana Fever team was to take out the head, to chop off the head by cheap shotting Caitlin Clark. Ironically, not going for the head this time, even though it happened before. Among the countless admirers of Caitlin Clark's skills is NBA legend LeBron James. James took to X to express his admiration for the young guard, describing her as cold in reference to her remarkable performance on the court. Clark's ability to maneuver through defensive pressure and create scoring opportunities for herself and her teammates was nothing short of spectacular. Her precise shooting, including 5 successful three-pointers, demonstrated her versatility and composure under pressure. With this stellar performance, Caitlin Clark not only strengthened her case for the WNBA Rookie of the Year award, but also etched her name in the league's history books. Her 30-point, 12-assist game against the Sky made her the first player ever to achieve such a feat in a single game, underscoring her exceptional skills and impact on the court. Following his initial post, LeBron couldn't contain his excitement, hyping up Caitlin Clark with the tweet, "Caitlin Clark! Hi haters." While Clark dominated the spotlight with her record-setting performance, her teammates also stepped up with strong contributions from Kelsey Mitchell, Nalissa Smith, and Lexi Hull, which helped secure the victory against the Sky.
Y'all see the woman speed up. Y'all see her, Caitlin Clark is getting the crowd and going. Y'all see Skylar Diggins speed up to make contact with her. Stop this.
During the game between the Indiana Fever and Seattle Storm on Sunday, tensions flared between the two coaches as the match was winding down. Fever's coach, Christy Sides, and Storm's coach, Noelle Quinn, exchanged heated comments on the sidelines, likely due to Indiana not substituting its starters after Seattle had already done so, as the game slipped away from the Storm. In the midst of this, Fever rookie guard Caitlin Clark seemed to chime in, as the Jumbotron at Gainbridge Fieldhouse captured her appearing to tell the Storm players to stop crying while they were engaged in the intense discussion between Sides and Quinn. The Indiana Fever's recent win over the Seattle Storm has stirred quite a buzz. Before this game, nearly all the betting odds favored Seattle, who had previously beaten the Fever in their last 2 encounters and were seen as a playoff contender. However, the game's conclusion brought some unexpected drama. There's been a lot of chatter, especially after new footage emerged that puts Seattle's coach, Noelle Quinn, in a negative light. The lack of sportsmanship displayed by Quinn after the loss loss raises questions about professionalism in the league. As highlighted by Outkick in their posts on X, it's no surprise that this league struggles with viewership. The expected professionalism from coaches and players seems lacking, and Caitlin Clark's impact on the league continues to be a hot topic. I came across this video and found it really intriguing. When Caitlin Clark was making her way back to her team, she got hit with a pretty hard shove from one of the Seattle Storm players. Just watch, she takes a solid hit right there.
Y'all mad cause that corn-fed Iowa girl busting y'all ass. Y'all said she too weak. She can't do this. She lead the WNBA in assists. She cooking. Let her cook. Let her cook.
And Noel Quinn was going crazy, thinking that Christy Sides should have pulled the starters earlier, or what they call emptying the bench. But I thought, this is professional basketball. There's no rule that says that has to happen. It's just one of those annoying unwritten rules that pop up in sports. So here's the coach getting right up in Christy Sides' face, and honestly, there's no reason for that. It shows a real lack of sportsmanship, and then she just walks away. It honestly makes the Seattle Storm's coach look really petty and awful. Coaches often reflect the poor behavior of their players, especially when it comes to someone like Caitlin Clark. They just don't seem ready for the level of success this league has achieved. Here's another clip from the end of the game. Yeah, they really got blown out. They definitely weren't supposed to get blown out like that. Come on, it's time to mature and manage your emotions better. There's a player over there talking trash, and what are we doing in response? It's just hard to believe. So that's a glimpse of what transpired. Now there's another video that just surfaced, so let's take a look at it. Caitlin Clark was right there. They really got her riled up. She was on the sideline and she was letting it be known. Honestly, they need to get their feelings under control. Seattle can't seem to handle this team, her fame, and her achievements. Caitlin Clark isn't backing down from anyone, and I found this video that's been circulating of Noel Quinn calling herself a gangster from LA. Seriously, is this what the league has come to? Take a look. Alright, when I mention the word gangster, I don't mean it in a bad way. It's just how I think. Is it really a bad thing to refer to yourself like that? These were her thoughts after the game during the press conference. Check this out. Caitlin Clark has truly made waves in this league, and it's been incredible to witness. However, I'm struck by the unprofessional reactions from some players and coaches. We've got seasoned coaches like Noel Quinn, Cheryl Reeve, and Becky Hammond, who has multiple championships under her belt. Yet they seem to be acting out of pettiness and envy when a rookie from Iowa steps in. It's clear that this situation has stirred up quite a bit of discussion. It seems like frustrations are boiling over for you and your team, coach. And let's not forget about sportsmanship. It's pretty shocking that she took issue with Clark encouraging the crowd to cheer at the game's end. Seriously? Clark just set the WNBA rookie assist record for the season and broke the Indiana Fever record for most three-pointers in a single game, putting up stats like 29 points, 9 assists, and 5 rebounds. And this was a problem for the Seattle coach. Honestly, it's a bit pathetic. This whole thing is just wild. Look, they're playing in Indiana, on their home turf. It's not like she was standing on the Cowboys star. Remember Terrell Owens? Keep it going, Cece. You just took down one of the top teams in the WNBA, and they can't seem to handle it. It's wild, and honestly a bit crazy. Clearly, Caitlin Clark is doing something right. And let's talk about sportsmanship from the Storm. I bet there have been moments when they didn't pull their players right away after a big win. They're just upset. Remember the quote, "Why are you so worried about me, the GOAT?" It's ridiculous. I don't recall them easing up on us when they were dominating earlier in the season.